Alright, folks, buckle up because we're about to dive into some of the wildest quirks from history that make you wonder what our ancestors were thinking. Have you ever imagined a world where slicing open a body was prime entertainment or renting a fruit was the ultimate flex? Today, we're counting down 10 bizarre historical trends that sound too strange to be true, but trust me, they're backed by the books. We'll explore each one with vivid details, a dash of humor, and that storytelling vibe to keep you glued to your screen. Let's jump in starting from number 10. Number 10. Romance under the scalpel. Okay, picture yourself in the heart of Renaissance Europe, where a perfect evening out with your sweetheart isn't candlelit dinners or stargazing, it's heading to a live anatomy show. Yeah, you heard that right. Public dissections were like the blockbuster events of the era, drawing crowds eager for a front row seat to the human body's secrets. These weren't dull classroom demos, they were theatrical spectacles, complete with purpose, built venues known as anatomical theaters. Think of them as compact arenas, tiered like ancient amphitheaters, so no one missed a single incision. To amp up the excitement, organizers threw in live tunes from musicians, plush seats for the elite, and even refreshments to munch on while watching. The subjects? Often freshly executed convicts, turning what could have been the end of the story into an extended performance. One dedicated expert, Guillaume Rondelet, took passion to extremes by publicly examining his own late infant child talk about blurring lines between science and spectacle. These gatherings attracted creative minds too. Legends like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci attended, jotting down sketches that later fueled masterpieces. It's wild to think that some of the world's most stunning artworks owe their inspiration to these grisly displays. Back then, this was upscale fun. Imagine whispering to your date, "Honey, let's catch that spleen reveal tonight. I hear it's a showstopper." Who knew education could be so visceral? Number 9. Adornments from the departed. Now, let's fast forward to the Victorian era, where sentimentality met craftsmanship in the most unexpected way. If you rummaged through an old family heirloom box, you might stumble upon a delicate pendant or ring woven from human hair. Yep, folks back then turned strands from loved ones, often those who'd passed on, into wearable keepsakes. This wasn't sloppy DIY. Artisans meticulously prepared the hair, sometimes simmering it to purify, before twisting it into elaborate designs like blooming flowers, precise patterns, or miniature scenes that could fit in your palm. It was a heartfelt nod to memory in an age before photos were everywhere. Even royalty jumped on board. Queen Victoria, grieving her beloved Prince Albert, sported pieces from his locks, sparking a trend that rippled through society like a royal decree. But it wasn't solely for mourning. Sweethearts swapped hair tokens as pledges of love, adding a romantic twist. Some items bore quirky engravings, like gentle reminders of mortality. Because why not layer on the poignancy? It's like wearing a piece of someone's essence as a badge of connection, morbidly charming, right? In a time when death was ever present, this fad turned grief into art, proving emotions can be as tangled as the weaves themselves. Number 8. Stitched suppers for show. Shifting gears to medieval banquets, where hosts aim to wow with culinary oddities that'd make modern chefs cringe. Enter the cockentrice, a Frankenstein-esque dish that fused unlikely ingredients into one bizarre beast. Visualize the upper body of a young pig grafted onto the lower half of a fowl. Yes, they actually sewed these creatures together with needle and thread for that hybrid effect. This wasn't everyday grub. It was elite fare, signaling your status as a lavish entertainer. The weirder the plate, the bigger the bragging rights. After stitching, they'd roast the whole thing, gild it with shimmering foil for extra flair, and glaze it with vibrant mixes of yolks and spices to dazzle the eyes. It was as if they wanted to mask the madness with opulence, turning dinner into a visual puzzle. Guests would carve into this chimeric creation without batting an eye, treating it like standard cuisine. Can you imagine slicing into something that looks like it bolted from a mad inventor's lab? This trend highlights how food back then was theater on a plate, blending shock with sophistication to leave diners talking long after the meal. Number 7. Smiles and shadows. Ever wondered why some historical portraits show folks with mysteriously darkened grins? In ancient Japan, ebony teeth weren't a horror movie prop, they were a beauty ideal called ohaguro. Ladies applied a custom blend of iron filings and natural extracts to stain their chompers pitch black, signaling adulthood and eligibility for wedlock. It was more than vanity. It symbolized poise and readiness for life's next chapter. Meanwhile, across the pond in Elizabethan England, inky teeth popped up for different reasons. Sugar, a luxury import, rotted the wealthy's enamel, turning smiles into badges of affluence. No floss or checkups meant decay was inevitable, but instead of hiding it, they flaunted those darkened dents like status symbols. Think of it as oral bling, proving you could indulge in sweets. Queen Elizabeth I's own teeth were notoriously shadowy, inspiring tales from diplomats. Even commoners faked the look with pigments to mimic the elite, akin to sporting knockoff luxury today. It's a quirky reminder that beauty standards evolve, often tying into what screams "I've made it" in society. Number 6. Fruit flex for the elite. In the 1700s, displaying wealth took a fruity turn, with pineapples reigning as the ultimate symbol of extravagance. These tropical treasures were exorbitantly priced, equivalent to a small fortune now due to import challenges. But here's the twist. People rarely chowed down on them. Instead, they'd plop one smack in the center of their table as a conversation starter, flaunting prosperity without a bite. Rental shops even emerged for those pinching pennies but craving the prestige picture, borrowing a pineapple like leasing a luxury car, parading it from soiree to soiree. You'd boast about your exotic centerpiece, only for guests to recognize it from the neighbor's bash last night. The obsession spilled over into decor, with pineapple motifs adorning everything from furniture carvings to entryway hardware, embedding the fruit's spiky silhouette into daily life. It's hilarious to think a simple produce item could spark such envy, turning tables into stages for social one-upmanship. Who needs jewels when a rented fruit says it all? Number 5. Tiny tots in twirly attire. Hop in our time machine to the 1800s, spotting playgrounds full of wee ones in frilly frocks. At first glance, you'd assume a sea of little ladies, but surprise, many were lads. Until the early 1900s, infants and toddlers of all genders sported dresses. And it wasn't about pushing boundaries, it was pure practicality. With potty emergencies striking fast, a quick skirt lift beat fumbling with fasteners any day. These garments were like ancient pull-ups, simple, breezy, and mess-proof. When a boy graduated to trousers, it was milestone material, dubbed breeching, often marked with fanfare or family feats, like a mini rite of passage. Some cultures wove in superstitions, believing skirts warded off malevolent forces by confusing spirits with ambiguous outfits. Imagine demons scratching their heads over dress codes. This custom underscores how everyday choices once blended utility with folklore, making childhood fashion a clever hack for harried parents. Number 4. Wobbly wonders on the menu. Flash to mid-20th century gatherings, where the star dish jiggles suspiciously with embedded surprises. Aspics ruled the roost as sophisticated eats, encasing everything from seafood to veggies in savory gelatin molds. Forget fruity desserts, this was meaty, translucent artistry, like suspending a full fowl in a quivering orb, evoking fossils in resin. Royals and hosts flexed their flair with elaborate versions, where the more exotic the inclusions, the higher the wow factor. Before fridges, it preserved perishables, but it morphed into a competitive craft, pitting cooks against each other for the most outlandish jelly. By the 1950s, American kitchens went wild, mixing odd combos like Frank's in citrus gel or fish and veggie aspic, turning meals into edible experiments. Picture unveiling a shimmering dome at your party. Talk about a conversation icebreaker. This fad captures how trends can start sensible and spiral into absurdity, leaving us chuckling at grandma's recipe books. Number 3. Nocturnal nudges and shenanigans. Before light bulbs and factory whistles dictated our days, sleep wasn't a solid 8-hour block, it came in chunks. Folks hit the hay around dusk, snoozed a few hours, then rose for a midnight interlude before dozing off again till dawn. This biphasic pattern was the norm, turning the wee hours into productive or playful time. Affluent types penned thoughts or debated philosophy by candlelight, while everyday people tackled tasks or stole romantic moments. Think clandestine meetups under the stars, minus apps but plus adventure. Historical yarns include eerie tales, like a 1600s account of a woman vanishing after a late-night lure by shadowy figures. It all shifted with industrialization, forcing rigid schedules that squashed these twilight traditions. Ever had a 2 a.m. brainstorm? Maybe our bodies still crave that ancient rhythm, turning insomnia into a nod to forgotten habits. Number 2. Pint-sized prelates in power. In medieval Europe, December brought a topsy-turvy twist to worship with the boy-bishop custom. Churches selected a young chorister to helm services, decking him out in ornate robes, a mitre, and a staff for authenticity. He'd preside over masses, deliver talks, and dole out blessings, while the actual clergy played spectator. This wasn't play acting. The lad wielded real sway, directing events and gathering offerings with his pint-sized posse as stand-in priests. Rooted in themes of humility overturning hierarchy, it reminded bigwigs that wisdom isn't age-bound. The practice swept the continent, enduring despite grumbles from traditionalists, as communities adored the role reversal. It's like a historical mic drop. Even kids can lead if given the chance, injecting joy into solemn spaces. Number 1. Headgear against hidden hitchhikers. Wrapping up our list in the 1700s, where elegance battled an itchy epidemic lice infestations plagued everyone from peasants to princes, these pesky invaders were rampant, prompting a clever counter, shaving scalps bare to evict them, then donning elaborate wigs dusted with powder for style. These fluffy toppers, resembling cottony clouds, could be removed and sanitized in hot water when buggy, sparing the wearer constant scratching. Courtly scenes buzzed with such remedies, where mentioning your boiling wig was casual chit-chat. Next time you eye a bewigged figure in old paintings, ponder the relief beneath trading natural locks for pest-free poise. History's full of these pragmatic pivots, turning nuisances into fashion statements. Phew, what a whirlwind through time's eccentric corners. If these tales tickled your curiosity bone, drop a comment below with your favorite oddity or one you'd add to the list. Let's keep the conversation going.